Welcome to Southside News Today. It's Thursday, February 4th. I'm Chuck Vipperman reporting. Southside News Today is brought to you by Train with Dave, personal training and strength runner sports conditioning, the Danville Area Humane Society, and by Shanks Associates, serving the land surveying and engineering needs of Southside and Southwest Virginia for 34 years. Danville police have a suspect in a fatal shooting yesterday afternoon. Now they have to find him. Authorities today formally filed second-degree murder charges against 19-year-old Avion Burton of Danville. He's charged with gunning down 21-year-old Jalen Fitzgerald yesterday in the 600 block of Cabell Street. Investigators say Fitzgerald had been shot multiple times. Police Chief Scott Booth says the investigation led to a house in the 300 block of nearby Bell Drive. Police got a search warrant, called the SWAT team in. Officers, though, took an extended amount of time to knock and announce their presence before the SWAT team went in. Investigators say Fitzgerald and Burton knew one another. This was not a random act. Burton should be considered armed and dangerous. If you have information, call Danville Crime Stoppers at 793-0000. Local officials confirm a dog died in a fire yesterday evening. A fire that damaged a home in Danville happened around 5 p.m. on Freeze Road off of North Main Street. Crews found heavy fire coming from a small one-story home and a carport. Took about 30 minutes to knock down the blaze. Everyone made it out safely except for the dog. House suffered heavy fire, smoke, heat, and water damage. The Red Cross is helping the family. So far, no word on what sparked the blaze. The House of Delegates is ready to pass a bill from a local delegate dealing with the new industrial hemp industry in Virginia. Danville Delegate Danny Marshall says most of the changes simply align state code with changes in policies adopted by the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
This bill brings us into compliance with the feds. This is emergency legislation. The reason we're bringing it as emergency legislation is so that we can be sure to get this bill passed for this growing season for our farmers. Agriculture is still the number one industry in the state of Virginia, and I asked the move to have the bill engrossed and move to its third reading.
Marshall was the author of legislation which established the industrial hemp industry in Virginia 2 years ago. The House engrossed his measure today. They are expected to pass it tomorrow. Another local lawmaker struck out today in his attempt to get approval for an ambitious school funding plan for buildings. Franklin County State Senator Bill Stanley asked the Senate panel this morning to approve a motion for a non-binding referendum this fall where voters would decide if they want the state to borrow $3 billion to pay for school building repairs.
Especially so in our inner cities and rural areas and our less affluent areas, we are not providing equal educational opportunities to our children because the facilities themselves are crumbling. We have so many schools that have been built before World War II. Some that have been that are in operation that were built around World War I.
Stanley says $3 billion would not come close to solving the problem, but he says other states have used that amount to launch successful campaigns.
What we're trying to do is make sure that those children have that chance at the American dream and get the same education, get taught computer coding in second grade. But the schools are crumbling, so they don't get the computers. They don't have the modernization. And we have to do this.
The Senate Privileges and Elections Committee today voted to put the bill on hold until next year. As the pandemic numbers fall, along with local hospitalizations, Sova Health is announcing another return to normalcy. Hospitalist Dr. Stacy Van with Sova Danville.
A couple of weeks ago, we had to stop doing surgeries here at the Danville campus for those who were going to require inpatient surgery after the surgical procedure. So those types of surgeries were put on hold for the future, and I'm happy to report now that we're able to do those types of surgeries again. This decision did not affect our Martinsville campus. They never had a pause in doing those types of surgeries. So we are back up and running full strength again as it relates to surgeries, inpatient, outpatient, and elective procedures.
Meantime, State Health Department today reporting Danville and Pittsylvania County each had 28 new cases of coronavirus. The local death toll remains 114. CVS will begin offering COVID-19 vaccines next week to eligible populations at 36 Virginia pharmacies, including the ones in Danville and Chatham. Now, for the rollout, CVS plans to administer up to 26,000 doses in Virginia with help from the Federal Pharmacy Partnership Program. They'll expand to more locations as the supply goes up. Right now, COVID-19 vaccinations are only available at select CVS pharmacies. The State Lottery Board has approved preliminary casino regulations in Virginia. Those will govern the Caesars Casino here in Danville and will go into effect in April. More permanent regulations will be developed soon. Lottery officials will begin taking gaming license applications in April. Now, the Danville Casino, of course, will be built at the former Dan River plant in Schoolfield. Caesars put out this rendering of the building. Other casinos planned for Portsmouth, Bristol, and Norfolk. Now, these regs cover the application process, fees, licenses, permits, and whatnot. It also calls for extensive criminal and financial background checks for every casino employee. Governor Ralph Northam is hinting that some Virginia students might have summer school this year, part of an effort to help them catch up after months of virtual learning during the pandemic. Now, he tells the Washington Post that he'll announce plans tomorrow, which may involve extending classroom studies into the summer. No specifics have been announced. A handful of Virginia localities have not reopened schools since the onset of coronavirus. Some anxious moments this afternoon for Henry County deputies. They got a call just before noon that a wanted person was at a house on Sandville School Road in Bassett. They saw 30-year-old Jamie Lee Orr outside the home. When deputies arrived, Orr ran inside, barricaded himself in the house. Deputies got a search warrant. Negotiators were able to make contact with Orr through an open window. He agreed to come outside and surrender about 2 hours later. Orr is charged with 4 felony counts of manufacturing and distributing a controlled substance and a misdemeanor for contempt of court. Right now, Orr is being held without bond in the Henry County Jail. The Danville Life-Saving Crew's community paramedicine team is now on the road. That's because they now have a vehicle to help both Program Director Johnny Mills and community paramedic Keith Carroll reach those who need help. The program helps folks who have multiple chronic health conditions and who frequently call 911. They monitor over 200 cases at any one time, providing intense monthly intervention to at least 30 to 40 patients in the area. That's a look at your Southside News today. It's been brought to you by Train with Dave, the Danville Area Humane Society, and by Shanks Associates. I'm Chuck Vipperman. Have a great evening.